Everything began on a quiet night when baby Jacob was sound asleep in his small crib. Lisa, Jacob's mother, suddenly heard a low, tense growl coming from her son's room. She jolted awake, her heart racing, and hurried to check. What she saw made her both confused and fearful. Lila, the family's beloved dog, known for her gentle nature and always by Jacob's side, was sitting close to the crib, intently watching the baby without taking her eyes off him, and growling softly as if warning of something. Lisa immediately led Lila out of the room, thinking that perhaps the animal had become upset or anxious about something unclear. However, what left Lisa and her husband even more puzzled was that this occurred again the following night, and every night after that. At the same time each night, Lila would approach Jacob's crib and growl silently. This change was completely unlike her usual gentle demeanor. The family began to feel anxious, wondering if Lila was reacting to something they couldn't see, some invisible danger. That question grew larger in their minds, accompanied by an unease they couldn't explain. The unusual change in Lila's behavior left Lisa and her husband increasingly anxious. They began to raise a series of hypotheses. Could Lila be getting sick? Or was there something in the house that was making her uneasy, a sound that humans couldn't hear, or even some lurking danger threatening the baby? Unable to bear the feelings of fear and uncertainty, they decided to take Lila to the veterinarian for a thorough checkup. But the results shocked them. Lila was perfectly healthy, showing no signs of illness or behavioral disorders. Not giving up, they contacted a professional dog trainer, hoping he could explain Lila's strange actions. After hearing their story, the trainer suspected the dog might be sensing something beyond human perception, such as a high-frequency noise, a slight vibration in the house's structure, or even the smell of gas that humans couldn't detect. Following that advice, the couple invited experts to check the entire house, from the electrical system and ventilation to potential hidden risks like gas leaks. However, after a series of thorough inspections, everything turned out to be normal. Day after day, the nighttime growling continued to sound regularly, like a silent and ominous warning. Lisa began to feel overwhelmed because she couldn't understand what was happening. She cried out of helplessness and the fear of an unresolved mystery. Eventually, they began to think about the heartbreaking possibility: was it time to say goodbye to Lila to protect their child's safety? That decision tore at them, as Lila was not just a pet but an irreplaceable part of the family. As their anxiety reached a peak, everything suddenly changed one fateful night. That night, Lisa was sleeping when she suddenly woke up to loud barking and growling coming from Jacob's room. Unlike the previous nights, when there had only been soft growls as warnings, this time, Lila seemed extremely frantic and determined. Without hesitation, Lisa jumped out of bed and ran toward her son's room. The sight before her left her stunned. Lila was standing next to the crib, barking loudly and trying to pull Lisa by biting her pajama pant legs, desperately dragging her toward Jacob as if to signal something urgent. A mother's instinct warned Lisa that something was terribly wrong. She leaned down to look at her son, only to be horrified to realize that baby Jacob was lying still, his face pale, no longer breathing. In a panic, Lisa screamed, but before she could react, Lila, still standing nearby, suddenly leaned forward and nudged Jacob's chest with her nose. Miraculously, the baby suddenly took a deep breath and began to cry loudly, a weak but precious cry. Both parents were nearly paralyzed. They felt both fear and relief as they held their child and Lila tightly, tears streaming down their faces. The next morning, they took Jacob to the hospital for a checkup, where he was diagnosed with infant sleep apnea, a dangerous condition that could cause him to stop breathing during sleep without any clear signs. Lila, with her miraculous canine instinct, had sensed this and acted like a silent hero, saving baby Jacob in that critical moment. After that terrifying night, Lisa and her husband were still in shock. They could hardly take their eyes off baby Jacob for even a minute. Lila, the brave dog, always lay close to the crib, her eyes closely watching every fragile breath of the child she had silently protected so many times. When the doctors gave their final diagnosis, that Jacob had infant sleep apnea, both parents nearly collapsed. This is a rare condition that is hard to detect without specialized medical equipment to monitor breathing. If not identified and treated promptly, it can lead to serious consequences, even death during sleep. But what shocked the doctors and the family even more was that Lila had recognized the condition early on. No one understood how Lila could sense when Jacob stopped breathing. Perhaps it was a very slight change in body odor, sound, or movement, but it was clear that every night, when Jacob fell into a dangerous state, Lila detected it and tried to wake him or signal to his parents. The growling behavior that had initially confused and frightened the family turned out to be Lila's desperate effort to save the fragile life of a child. The dog was neither aggressive nor had her personality changed. She was fighting in her own way, silently and with absolute loyalty. With her intelligence and deep affection, Lila was not just a pet but a small but mighty guardian, a four-legged angel, who had quietly fought for the life of her little master night after night. After that fateful night, every gaze in the small house changed. Lisa and her husband no longer viewed Lila simply as a pet. To them, Lila was a guardian angel, the savior of their beloved child. Each time they saw Jacob sleeping peacefully in his crib, sometimes still having interrupted breaths due to the cruel condition, they would find Lila lying quietly beside him, her eyes wide open, always ready to act if something unusual happened. Without being asked, without seeking reward, Lila did it all out of unconditional love, a pure love that only those who have truly bonded with their pets can understand. Every night, Lisa and her husband hugged Lila and expressed their heartfelt thanks through tears. The presence of the dog was a reminder of the miracles that life sometimes quietly bestows, not through a heavenly angel with wings, but through the familiar shape of a loyal animal. Their story quickly spread, touching the hearts of millions. They realized that sometimes, it is the smallest creatures that have the greatest hearts and the ability to sense more than any human device. Lila didn't just save Jacob once, she may have done so dozens or hundreds of times, with her perseverance, instincts, and boundless love. To that small family, she was not just a pet but a hero, a member of the family, a living testament to the bond between humans and animals, a bond that transcends words, language, or logic. And in their hearts, Lila will forever be their four-legged angel, the one who kept the light alive in their lives during the darkest moments.